What if you gave 3 years of your life, waiting for a promise that quietly disappeared? Sarah left everything, her home, her family, her comfort, for a dream and for love. Every night, alone in a foreign land, she whispered, "He will wait. Love like this doesn't break." She worked hard. She counted every single day. She believed in a future that was slowly slipping away without her. Then she came home, to silence, to an empty space where love used to be. Her heart shattered in seconds after 3 years of patience. But here's the twist you didn't expect. Her heartbreak became her strength. She stopped waiting for someone else's promise and started building her own. If you've ever loved deeply and lost quietly, stay with me till the end, because this story might just be your story too. What if you gave 3 years of your life to a dream and came home to find your heart broken in silence? Sarah was 24 years old. She lived in a small town with a small job, but she had big dreams. One day, a company called her with an offer to work abroad. Her hands were shaking. She said yes. That night, she could not sleep. She looked at her small room, her old bed, her quiet street, and thought, "Is this the right choice?" Her mother cried. Her father stayed quiet, but his eyes said he did not want her to go. Sarah knew she needed this. She needed to grow. She packed one small bag for a whole new life. At the airport, there was a quiet, tender moment. A promise was made. "I will wait for you." Sarah smiled with her whole heart. She believed love like this does not break. She believed 3 years is short when two hearts are true. She boarded the plane and watched the lights of her city grow small, then disappear. She cried quietly, not from fear, but from hope. In the new country, everything was different. New language, new food, new faces. She was alone in a small room, but her heart felt full because a promise was waiting for her back home. She worked long hours. She saved money. She sent some home, too. Every night, she opened her phone, hoping for one small message. In the beginning, messages came fast. "Good morning. I miss you." She smiled at her phone like it held a treasure. She made a small calendar on her wall and marked off every single day. 2 years left. Then, 1 year, 8 months left. She joined English classes at night, wanting to return not just with money, but as a stronger, better version of herself. But slowly, quietly, something began to change. The messages grew shorter. "Okay. Busy today. Talk later." Sarah told herself it was normal, that everyone gets busy sometimes. She did not want to believe anything was wrong. Some nights she cried alone in her small room, not from tiredness, but because her phone stayed too quiet for too long. She would look at old photos just to feel a little less alone. Still, she held on to her countdown like a lifeline. 1 year left. 6 months left. 3 months left. Every mark on that calendar was a piece of hope, a piece of her heart, waiting patiently. In the final year, replies came once a week, then once a month. She created gentle excuses for the silence, because the truth was too painful to face. She still worked hard. She still planned her return. She still imagined running into warm, waiting arms after 3 long years apart. She bought a beautiful outfit for the day she would finally go home. She boarded her last flight holding 3 years of hard work and 3 years of quiet loneliness, whispering to herself, "I am finally coming home." At the airport, her family was there, crying with joy, holding her tight. But one person she searched for in the crowd was missing. She checked her phone. No message, no call. She told herself there must be a reason. Days passed, calls went unanswered, messages stayed unread. Then, slowly, painfully, the truth arrived on its own. The promise made 3 years ago had quietly faded away while she was far from home, working, dreaming, believing. She sat alone in her childhood room, the very room she had left with so much hope. Now it felt heavier, quieter than before. She looked at her old calendar and felt every mark turn into a small, wasted wish. She cried, not loudly but deeply, a pain built from years of patience and loyalty. She asked herself, was I foolish to believe so much? But somewhere inside the pain, a small strength began to rise. A quiet voice whispered, "You survived 3 years alone in a foreign land. You can survive this too." In the weeks that followed, Sarah slowly began to heal. She stopped waiting by the window. She stopped checking her phone for a message that would never come. Instead, she looked inward, remembering every skill, every ounce of courage she had gained abroad. She realized she had not crossed the world only for someone else's promise, but for herself too. She used her savings wisely and started a small business. She practiced her English daily, growing more confident with every word. She smiled more. She laughed with old friends. She spent quiet, warm evenings with her parents, who had missed her deeply. She began to understand that love is not only something you receive, but something you must also give to yourself. She stopped blaming herself for trusting deeply, understanding that a loyal, honest heart is never a weakness, only a strength some people simply do not deserve. Slowly, she became a woman who no longer waited by the phone, but built her own light, her own future, her own quiet happiness. Sarah's 3 years abroad had not only taught her a new language and new skills, they taught her the deepest lesson of all. Real strength comes from within, and real love must always begin with loving yourself first. Sarah's story is not just about heartbreak. It is about a young woman who left everything for a dream, worked with honesty and patience, and came home to a painful truth. But instead of breaking completely, she rebuilt herself, piece by piece, into someone stronger, wiser, and more confident than before. Her story teaches us that promises can fail, people can change, but our own strength never truly leaves us. Sometimes, what feels like the end of a love story is really the beginning of loving yourself.